everybody, it's Monday morning and the first time that we've done this today. My name is UltraDavid and welcome to Monday Morning Quartersback, where we analyze match videos from the previous weekend. This week we're going to be looking at Itazan versus Daigo in CPT Online number 1 in Japan, which was, in my opinion, one of the closest and most interesting matches. Now, naturally, I have an interest in this match that may be a little bit different than others. I have a very personal interest in this match since it is Itazan, the greatest grappler player in the world, and I'm a big grappler fan. And I know that David up in the press box is a big fan of grapplers as well, so it's going to be fun to watch him analyze how this match goes. As a little bit of an introduction, James Chen and Vicious commentated this, and I just want to say I really liked their work on this. It was really, they have a great pairing for sure. Super cool to see them actually be commentating in person, which is always a little bit different than doing it online, and just a lot of fun there. And since this was the first Capcom Pro Tour event of the year, it's the first time when we get to see like V-Shift and all the new stuff that's in the game in Capcom Pro Tour. There have, of course, been events before this. We've been doing weeklies and the like, but this is the first big situation for all of us to try it on. And I thought that was a lot of fun, but I guess we'll see if David up in the press box has the same thing to say. David, take it away. Thanks so much down there, David, in the field. It looks like a nice day out there in Berkeley, California. Look at that stadium out there. Wow, pretty nice, huh? You know, not bad weather we're having these days up here in the Bay Area where I am. Thanks a lot for hanging out. We're going to be watching, like David down on the field said, Itazan versus Daigo. Of course, it's going to be Zangief versus Guile. Now, you might notice that the commentators are a little bit surprised that it is Zangief versus Guile and not Abigail versus Guile. When Abigail was newer, we did often see, and maybe when Zangief was a little weaker, we did see Itazan go with Abigail versus Guile, Abigail versus this kind of like zonery character, and there's certainly still matchups where he picks that, but more commonly, when I see him playing online, it is very frequently Zangief versus Guile, and I like that because his Gief is just unlike almost anybody else's Gief in the world. You'll notice some of the things that he's doing not unavailable to other Zangief players, but his reactions, his positioning put him at such a spacing where he can do things that other Giefs have trouble with, and maybe even more importantly, his reads are incredible. He makes incredible reads all the time, and they work out more frequently than for many other people. So his Gief is basically why Japan thinks Gief is good. It's basically because of the player that we're about to watch. Is extremely strong. So with that introduction, let's hop in. We're going to watch one of the closer matches that I've seen in a while. Take it away, production. Thank you very much. Like we said, this is going to be CPT Japan 1, Itazan versus Daigo. Here we go. Take it away.
In the best CVS one, Nako.
That side of the table.
To start with, just as a refresher, what we're going to be doing here is watching through each round, and then if there's interesting stuff, we'll go back and then we'll check it out more in detail. But I always think it's important to watch a round as it happens, rather than cutting it up into tiny little segments. You don't really get the same feel for it that way. So that's the game plan. And speaking of game plans, we're already seeing important stuff for both of these two characters. If you notice where it is that Daigo's Guile likes to be, he is way closer than many other people play Guile versus Gief. And Itazan plays it from a range that is at about that close range too. Both of these players have an unusual range that they like to play the matchup at. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. It's an intended stolen turn out of Itazan, but Daigo is extremely practiced. These guys play all the time. I've seen them play on CFN a bunch. It's not like there's going to be any mysteries here. And this is obviously one of the greatest reads that I've seen in a while. And that's the thing about Itazan. You never know when he's going to bring out some wild read like that. Okay, so end of round. So there is already a bunch of stuff to talk about. we can go backwards here, if you will allow me to do so. Like I said, there's this range that's it's not quite here, but watch, Daigo will walk up shortly. Look at where he walks up to. This is a range that many Guile players, in fact, even just a little bit before this, right? This is a range that many Guile players feel like they don't want to be against Gief. They'd rather be outside of stand fierce range. They'd rather be outside of jump range. And I think at the highest level, that's not the right spot to be. Guile he has these great buttons. You know, he can counter poke really nicely. He can anti-air great from this range, as we'll see in just a little bit as well. You know, he can whiff punish really easily. If he blocks a stand fierce from that range, it's not that big of a deal. Doesn't really turn into much for Gief. And then it's also a spot where he can start offense, where he can, if he feels cornered, move to the other side. So one of the changes in the entire cast this year is that stand jabs are bad anti-airs. They were basically nerfed. And historically, Gief would anti-air this by just pressing stand jab, just knock him out of the sky. Well, that doesn't really work now. And even if it trades at this point, you know, Gief gets a mix up there, but it's one guess, and the Guile's back out to zoning, and he has all the screen behind him. But it's probably not going to trade. Jump leg kick's probably going to win because it's got a good hitbox on it. So instead, what Giefs want to do now is more lariat. But I've been telling the world since season number 1 that lariat's pretty good, but it's got to be at a very specific range for it to be really good. And this is not it. This is not it. It loses to cross-ups like this. And like I said, Guile, from that jump range, can do jump short to be on the other side. And that's another part of why I believe Daigo's playing at that range, so that he can very quickly get over to the other side.
But he's at a huge life deficit against Daigo.
Very interesting idea. Like I said, it's quite unusual of a spot to play at. You'll especially notice that, well, it didn't last too long, but he will especially notice in the future that he likes to play at that closer range when there's a V-trigger one that's already activated or about to be activated. Right, so in this situation here, what Giefs will often see is that people will want to backdash. In fact, yeah, after back grab here. In fact, nowadays they'll often just V-shift and just get out of there. So chasing with a forward dash, pretty reasonable idea, pretty strong idea. And so that's what Itazan goes to, but Daigo's already ready for that.
The regular throw. Oh,
yeah,
but he knows
so just
that
interrupting immediately.
The regular throw is not a real thing. And this is a tough situation. But you know,
So already we've seen a bunch of stuff that's going to be important throughout this set. These interesting spacings. Another big part of this is the jump. Yeah, the jump in mix-up. Right. So Gief has basically jump medium kick, which hits quickly below him, jump roundhouse, which hits later below him, and these present 2 different anti-air timings. And if you're a genius and you call out somebody else for doing something like this, then you can get an air grab as well.
Oh, he knew he was going for the air-to-air. You are a sick man, Itabashi. Oh.
So there are these mix-ups here
Man has the right reads, and
that Daigo ends up ending the round
time.
on in a correct guess.
Medium kick, no problem. Guile has gone from
You can empty jump, absolutely, a lot of different options that Gief can present. So that's a blocked stand fierce, right? And they did make that okay up close, but still doesn't lead to much from range. The EX wake up there is hoping that Gief's gonna have a chance to get through a button, but yeah, jump jab I forgot to mention as well, very important as a way to hit quite below him. An interesting thing to watch too is how Itazan plays with his life, with his grappler Zangief life. It's more than average. He is willing to absorb a ton of stuff in order to corner the opponent, in order to get mix-ups. He believes in his mix-ups that much. Here's what I was talking about when there is a trigger activated. Now, anything that is confirmed or even buffered is going to go directly into V-trigger 1. It's going to end the round, into super, right? And so Daigo knows that. He hasn't pressed a button in so long until surgically, and when he knew that he had activation for safety. But look how long Daigo goes without actually without pressing a single button. He dashes up yet again. He walks up. What he's hoping to see is that Itazan will do something like jab into V-trigger spin on block. He wants to get rid of it on block. And so he walks up into that risky range, and you can't hear it terribly well, but what James is saying at this moment is that he doesn't understand why Itazan didn't bring out standing spinning pile driver, walk up spinning pile driver. That's the counter to this. So, you know, if the opponent wants to walk up and basically make you proc your own V-trigger by buffering in jab or strong or whatever it is into V-trigger, into the spin, well, the way to beat that is just to walk up a little bit further and get your command grab. You can. Itazan absolutely knows it. Obviously, he's a fantastic player, and I've seen him do it a billion times. It's just a mix-up. In that instance, is it the right time to bring it out? Will the opponent press a button to prevent that? Will they backdash? Will they jump back to prevent that? And he didn't have any life, so there was a very thin margin of error. I understand not bringing it out in that kind of situation, but it's just a mix-up. And in that situation, Daigo had it.
I cannot tell. The man, the big scary man wearing an
important in that kind of situation to make sure that it's EX SPD. If it were jab SPD, that's not very scary. It means that there's no pressure afterward. But EX SPD, yes, there's pressure afterward, and you get in there, and as Geef, you can make it happen. But like I said, just a mix-up.
That EX SPD was gonna kill him, you know. But
And Daigo got it right.
You know what? You're too scared to try to go for this, and let's see if that prompts Itabashi to be a
Look at how much he walks up. He plays at this close range.
EX SPDs in this round.
I like how much more active Itabashi is now with the
Not always throwing booms.
Primarily, but Daigo is still hovering within that range. Oh, big punish.
And he walked out just at that exact moment. You know, I'm looking at this in a way from Itazan's perspective because it's the one that I'm more familiar with, but boy, Daigo's play is so impressive. Oh, he just screwed up as I was giving him props. Okay, intended to have been meaty spin, which would have been plus. Daigo with the great read to not do quick rise. And then ends it. One other thing that I want to say about the range that Daigo plays at is that not only do I think there's good reason to do that, it's scary, right? It feels scary to be at that range against Geef, but I think there's good reason to do it in the character matchup. But I think in the player matchup, it's an interesting one too. You know, I'm reminded of back in Street Fighter 4 when it was Itazan versus Fudo, right? Two people who played against each other all the time. They're training partners. They were two of the best in the world. And it was Fei Long versus Zangief in Street Fighter 4. And if you can think back to that and the range that Fudo played that at, it was way closer than he played against anybody else. He played way closer. Not point blank, of course, but he played at this range where, you know, just understanding his opponent as a player, I think is a big part of why. So I think that's another part of why Daigo plays at this range as well, is that this is kind of a player scope as well as character reasoning for it.
Do not get caught by the meaty V-Trigger 1 activation. And Itabashi did not want to spend another part of that bar on another V-Trigger.
Flex is a huge part of this. You know, we've been talking a lot about Guile's options, but and Geef's jump-in options, but other than that, ooh, down 4 round, that's interesting. And a read that it would be regular grab or something like that. Now keep in mind, last time Daigo actually stayed there and pressed the button, but this time he walked backwards out of that situation. So Daigo's just getting a lot of these little mix-ups correct. Down jab for Geef, stand strong for Geef, flex, huge to allow him to walk forward and build V-meter. Yes, it means that he has a lot of gray life, but the way that Itazan's playing with his character is so focused on getting the mix-up up close, extremely focused on mix-up up close. And so he's okay with giving up his life for that. It's a little mix-up to it. Hopefully make Daigo activate, expecting that was a jump forward.
Oh, he got him. He got him. Air EX SPD. Okay. One mix-up. Oh,
the backdash. End it. Yeah. Yeah. It's a common setup that Geefs will go to here at the end. EX SPD dash crouching medium kick. The intention here is to make people think that you're going to be doing something else, you know. Why else would you press down medium kick instead of dash forward? After crouching medium kick, you can get some other stuff instead, and it's just a good read by Daigo to escape. So it's now 2-0 for him, and part of it is due to really, really good spacing, really good understanding of when he could jump forward and move to the other side. And part of it is he's guessing right a ton, honestly. He's got a great scope on what it is that he thinks Itazan wants to do. He's been right about it very consistently, whether it's him walking into EXSPD range, but like being right that that wasn't what Itazan was looking for, or whether it's him pressuring, or whether it's him not throwing booms for a while, or anti-airing with the right button. Like on a lot of these things, he's gotten the right mix-up. And the way that Itazan plays Guile, the way that Guile is, but also the way that Itazan plays Guile, he can boil it down well to those mix-ups. Again, we talked about how he likes to play with his life, how he uses the V skill to absorb. Yes, it means gray life, and that could be taken away, but he gets more V meter, and he's not pushed back, importantly, and he can convince, well, he hopes to convince anyway, his opponent not to throw booms, not to press big buttons that he could punish with the EXSPD. So that's the intention here. So far, it's been working out for Daigo and not for Itazan.
Same thing. He got the EX Air SPD. What does
we caught Daigo in those situations, and the
So we'll see if anything changes here. I mean, neither one's going to have a big change on what their strategy is. In many ways, in this kind of situation, it's about guessing right more on the yes or no's of situations.
Bro, I'm totally fine after this, I feel like.
Yeah, Daigo, I mean,
Okay, it's a good jump. Interesting choice of combo. It's a little bit more damage. Oh, wow, we'll talk about this later. Amazing anti-air.
Okay, can't jump away.
Oh, boy, Daigo's so insistent on jumping out. The MK jump out.
He's out of the corner. Oh, here we go. Yep, the pressure.
And look at this, the pressure. The pressure again.
One more mix-up.
And he could absolutely stun.
You gotta do
And he's gonna. So it is match point for Daigo, and he started that by jumping out of the corner, by being insistent about jumping out of the corner. Right at the beginning, I wanted to talk about how Daigo misspaced this.
You know, there was
If we could check that out. The bullet knee. Something he had been not using.
He got thrown.
It's, you know, right before that Itazan walks forward. So the intention here on Daigo's side is to put bullet knee at the max range. But instead, Itazan had just walked forward. So he gets a little bit. Now, interesting to say that this is the combo into Lariat. More and more over the last, handful of years, Giefs have been prioritizing mix-ups rather than this punish. Or this mix-up, even up close, crouching short, jab, Lariat. You don't get pressure after it. The opponent can, as we'll see, just get out of there. Just back roll and get out of there. And it's not a lot of damage, it's not super compelling. Interesting that Itazan brought it out here. Maybe he just wanted the life lead. Maybe he just wanted to push Daigo inexorably back. But oftentimes you'll see people go for the mix-up instead.
I'm gonna backlash after this. Yeah. Bro, I'm totally fine after this, I feel like.
Yeah, Daigo, I mean, honestly.
Right, so it does, I believe, 10 more damage if memory serves. Jump medium kick, stand short, Lariat is what you want to get good Lariat. That is to say, the Lariat that gives you the good Oki afterward. Crouching jab, Lariat doesn't give you that Oki, but he's close enough to the corner that it doesn't matter. So he wants to get the literally, I believe, 10 more damage of crouching jab here. It's a very interesting little optimization. It's tiny, it's not ultimately that significant, but it shows how much he's thinking about everything, combo choice, all these different things as he plays.
The mix-up from Itabashi, like I said.
Right, ridiculous reaction, honestly. I mean, part of it is expectation, of course, but amazing reaction. Look at this, the timing. Anyway, we saw what happened after that, but I love that mix-up by Daigo to just be insistent about trying to get out of the corner. Sometimes you gotta.
And it was just nice because, he was one hit away.
Here's these flexes, and now there was a lot of gray life, and it was taken away. But you can see again how he's using that V meter build, life absorb, armor to just not get pushed backwards, to build more of the red bar. Super important at that range. Convince Daigo not to press stuff. And right now it's kind of working, to be honest, especially after the crush counter a little bit before. That's what I mean, right? He's hoping to absorb something big, something punishable. Daigo wasn't there. So now it comes to the situation where Itazan has V-Trigger to activate if he wants to. So Daigo's hoping to give him that activation point. Why? Because on block, it doesn't lead to anything. In fact, on block, it can be punishable. if you...
Right, he wants to force that accident.
Okay.
Right, he gets it off of a
He
hit
did
instead.
throw the boom, and that was his bad. And Itazan just happened to bring out
Be very close.
the absorbing right there.
Still in time.
And then the hit confirm on roundhouse.
You know,
So the strategy for Daigo, the sort of larger strategy of walking up and being at this range, hoping to make it so Itazan presses fierce into activation, hoping to make it so he does strong, misidentifies a counter hit, that is to say, not a counter hit, and then activates anyway, which isn't a combo, or whatever it may be. He's hoping to do something like that. He wants to proc it, right? We're playing Warcraft here. And it's a good strategy, but
is getting caught off
you know, he doesn't want to do nothing at the same time. And the little mix up on timing of when to throw a boom just happens to be wrong. And because of that,
He
Itazan,
gets it off of a hit instead.
well, as you can see, he ends up taking the round.
Not gonna kill, but gonna be very close.
And yet,
And then after this, Geef with V-Trigger activated is actually able to get a significant mix-up. If not, he doesn't have a terribly interesting mix-up here. If he hits with a roundhouse, there's not like a lot out of it. Unless there's a V-Trigger available. He can get jab SPD range here, so there is kind of a grab or not, right? Mix-up.
his hair is still in
And I guess Daigo is going for jump, probably to escape, and Itazan
Okay,
got it right.
him. You know, was expecting Daigo to probably try to backdash again or something. So throws in the meaty and catches Guile before he can get airborne. Gets the punish there.
It was a very valid concern, right? Oh, no!
Very interesting to see that Itazan did jump forward there when there was clearly a fortress of crouching Guile.
Oh boy.
It's just a
that
question
is,
of, you know, will Daigo then move backwards? Because he does sometimes. He doesn't crouch long
misstep
sometimes.
from Daigo
Right, just like there, right? He was crouching and then he was walking around. So you never quite know whether he's going to be charging or not. It's a really good set of mix-ups and options from Daigo. So it's again, it's still match point is what I should say for Daigo.
Jumping a little bit more often and a couple of anti-airs now. from
Itazan
Daigo.
now has that trigger. And you'll notice how he's playing with his life. It's okay if he gets hit. Really what he wants is hit, one mix-up, two mix-up, that's the end. Like, that's the idea here. And it can certainly happen. You see, again, Daigo walks up into this range. Again, what costs him is throwing the boom.
He has been unsuccessful in
At
the
just
mix-up.
the wrong moment.
What's the mix-up now?
Okay, just do it again. Do it one more time. Heavy SPD.
No.
Oh boy.
Daigo
Well,
does
Daigo now with a
backdash.
life deficit.
Gets himself
Itazan with the
out of
life
there.
lead.
Tried to-
And then notice, wow, right away, Itazan was playing a little bit differently. Most of the match has Itazan playing from behind, right? It costs him life to get in. And so he's playing from behind typically. He wants to be up close to get the mix-ups. That's usually how this goes. But in the end here, when he is the one who has, the life lead,
Oh, and
he's not doing V-skill
Daigo
absorbs.
with the stubborn backdashes.
There's not much reason to do that. Right, instead, yeah, he used it to move forward a little bit, but that was not nearly as much of a focus for him as it was before. Instead, it was to just get to a range where he could play the mix-up, as we were talking about, of jump-ins. Jump medium kick, jump jab, jump roundhouse, empty jump SPD, all these things, and he guessed right on it. He finally guessed right on it, in a significant way. So he's so far faced 2 match points from Daigo.
Itazan.
I like that a lot. That was beautifully done.
And it was it's got to make Itazan feel good because Daigo so far has had the right reads on all of Itazan's mix-ups. And
Yeah, this is the range and the timing, really, when he gets a lot of V skills here. Yep, there it is yet again. And he's just hoping to batter Daigo into moving backwards a little bit here. Again, part of why Daigo wants to move forward is so that that's not easily done. Right? He wants to block. He wants to make Itazan block, is what I should say. Oh boy, what an amazing reaction. But since it was jab SPD, there's not a lot that you get out of it.
Lost the V-trigger. He's going to try to push the agenda a little bit.
Boy, I'm telling you guys.
The sharp angle that
Lariat, pretty good, but I don't want to hear anybody saying Lariat's great.
On the other side, not the old school Lariat anti-air of old.
So here's that slow play. It's a life lead for Guile. It's a life lead for Daigo.
Catches Itabashi off guard.
Ooh, too far away to do anything.
And although he
about
does
that, but
continue
he
to take a
still
few
goes
risks here and there,
Safely.
a lot of this is him playing really
Oh,
patiently.
nice.
Nice solution at the end. A lot of this is him. I mean, if we can go back and see when this was activated, this trigger was activated with 68 seconds on the clock. And just watch how much Daigo doesn't actually press grounded buttons.
The sharp angle that catches the startup with the lariat.
Yeah. Can't hit on the other.
It's not never. All right, it can't be never. You can't just let the opponent walk on you. But it's very rare. Very rare.
EX1 catches Itabashi off guard.
Ooh! Too far away to do anything after that head.
And that's the strategy here. He wants to just time out that V-trigger 1.
Oh, nice. Patience.
And then Itazan, I guess, thought that was a hit confirm. Was it? Oh, he thought that was just going to be a punish. Okay, I see. I see why he did that then. It was not.
Oh, nice.
And it's again match point for Daigo.
He got him. He got him. Okay, he had that V-trigger still going over there.
Yeah.
He still has it.
Absolutely.
And again, Itabashi still, to this point, has not been brave enough to just do a walk-up raw EX SPD.
You know, the way that Itazan plays Guile, he's just such a forward-moving, slow-moving, but forward-moving wall, it feels. Again, that's what part of why I really like where Daigo plays a lot of this. It's kind of closer up. Yeah, I was just going to say I would expect him to move forward. There was the dash. Because from that range, as we've seen, he can do jump short to get over. Oh, he tries it. He just was not at the right spot. Ah, very interesting.
Get the mix-up, not in this version.
Oh, throws the V.
Not punished. Oh, I think that might have been able to. Okay. So now, what Geef's like to do here is go into super because, like I said, post-super mix-up with V-Trigger 1 already available is definitely a credible mix-up.
Still going forward.
So Itazan with the life lead again. He wants to end it, of course, but it's not quite the same situation as otherwise. He's trying to get counter poke ranges, right? You can see where he is. It's not quite as insistent about being as close. Yeah, he wants to just whiff punish something with jab, with strong, or just with straight up V-trigger spin, or just with straight up vacuum.
Oh man! All right, Itazan is still in this. He's
super good spacing by Itazan.
It's not over yet, baby.
So now he faces Daigo's 4th match point.
Okay. That's been... It's funny, Itabashi is so set on taking this damage for the meter, or at least the gray light.
Interesting little walk backwards. We'll go back and look at that a little bit, but he did get a whiff punish because of it. So he's really playing with his own spacing. They're quite small spacing changes, but if you can notice, there are moments certainly when both are at slightly different spots, and it means quite a difference.
Here we go. Here we go.
Incoming. What's the mix?
Plus, yep.
Oh boy.
You thought you could move?
That's the
Stay
back.
still.
He might have been expecting quick rise rather than back rise.
Oh, he got him out.
Ah, okay. That always kind of worked. A little bit better this season.
Okay, you can chuck all the booms you want now, Daigo. Yeah, dwindle that gray life. But Itabashi's like, yeah, bring that to me too. I'll take that, yeah.
So Daigo's really trying to get out of here. Roundhouse, yeah, again. Yeah. Again, so Itazan battles from down at 4 Daigo match points so far. So let's go back just, I think it's a little bit before this. Yeah, a lot of the time, Itazan and Daigo have been playing at about, it's about this range, right? Daigo just was beginning to walk out of it. But Itazan sometimes himself also walks out of it.
Just keep blocking the sonic booms.
And things that would become just blocks that are safe for Daigo occasionally become whiff punishes for Itazan because of that. I think that actually might have been before here. Yeah, well, it's okay. No big deal. We'll watch for that in the final game.
Plus, yep. Oh, where you going?
So right here, after good lariat.
Plus, yep. Oh,
it wasn't good lariat. It was bad lariat. Oh boy, bummer. The back turn lariat rather than the chest facing forward lariat. Misidentified by me at first, but not by Itazan.
Okay, you can chuck all the booms you want now, Daigo. Yeah, dwindle that gray life.
Boy, this was so tense.
Bring that to me too. I'll take that, yeah.
And look how much gray life he has. Again, what he wants, what he knows he needs is only one more mix-up. Whether that was walk-up ground SPD, whether it was counter-hit roundhouse air SPD, whatever it is. One more mix-up. And he's okay with using his life to get into that kind of situation.
Counter hit, crush counter. Was that a sonic boom that he threw that he hit? I think he hit the stop. Promise you guys some good Zangief teeth fire. I need the taste of you to fight.
Just to reiterate, to go back to a little bit before this, a little bit before this.
Here we go. Keep blocking the sonic booms. Block them. Yeah, you're taking all this chip. But
maybe a little bit after this. Yeah, okay.
The mix.
Plus, yep. Oh.
So, this is a lariat. And there are 2 lariats. It's weird. I don't know why. but effectively you can think of them as two lariats. So it's the same button presses, of course. It's just punch, punch, punch. But if it hits the opponent such that Zangief's chest is facing the screen, he gets a good mix-up out of it. If the opponent does a quick rise, he's like point blank afterward. He can just walk forward. He's point blank for a mix-up. If the opponent instead does a back roll, Zangief gets a free forward dash into a real mix-up. So out of that lariat, he gets good stuff. If the lariat is back turned, he doesn't get that good stuff. It's just how they built the move starting in whatever season that happened. And so that means that what you need to do is there are certain moves that if you cancel lariat from, will typically give you good lariat. Usually stand short, for example, is a good way to get in there. You know, this wasn't it.
Where you going?
You thought you could move? That's the
So really good recognition by Daigo. You got to be looking at whether Zangief's back is facing the screen or his chest is facing the screen.
Last game, did we not promise you guys some good Street Fighter? I need the Tasty Steve clip here. I need the clip. I dare you to find us better Street
Just a
Fighter.
question of whether it hits early or late in its active frames. Or I think first frame or not is really what it is.
He was looking so strong and poised in those first two.
So it's 2-2. Somehow Itazan's made this back. And in those first couple of games, as we were talking about, it's not so much that their strategy has changed. It's that these little instances of when to press buttons, right? The tiny mix-ups that make up a Street Fighter match. Daigo is getting a lot of them right, and Itazan has been getting more of them right. Sometimes it really gets boiled down to that. Oh, offensive V reversal into wow, super interesting on both sides. So he actually went for the upside down kick, which is safe, but it's Gief's turn. And after that, wow, interesting. So it's match point yet again for Daigo. We've been here before. We've been here before. This is the 5th match point for Daigo.
Here we go, Daigo at match point again. Uh-oh. God, he's just
We've often seen Itazan walking forward into this range, or Daigo even walking forward into that range. A lot of it has been both of them playing at that spot. Finally ground SPD in these situations. It came in the last game. And immediately Daigo doesn't quite even up the life, actually. And instead it's Itazan with the life lead, who's playing it like as somebody who has the life lead. He's not moving forward. It's a hit confirm. I'm sure he thought that was going to kill. If not, he would have done super 100%. So, you know, unfortunate for him that he just, by literally 1 pixel, got that wrong.
Don't get antsy. Tie it up. Let me see some more Street Fighter. Let me see it.
Oh, got him.
Don't do it. He's still charging.
And now, yes, Itazan has a life lead, but Daigo has so much time on the clock that he can absolutely whittle down the life. So it's not really something that Itazan can just play away from. And look at how he's using his life. Oh my god!
Oh, he just did this.
The tension in this match. Look at how he uses his life. He begins this walk down with how much life here? This much life. And he knows all he needs is crouching jab, any jump to trade, whatever it may be. Whatever it may be, anything to do it. And so Daigo's not really playing in that range anymore that we've been talking about so much. He's playing from a longer range. He's playing from more of a zoning range. When he's accidentally in that range, he stops pressing buttons or EX boom to get the pushback. Look at how he uses the life there for Itazan. Boy.
He just did this.
So think back to the very first round when Itazan and Daigo, kind of a similar corner situation. Itazan was walking it up into a certain range where he could do SPD. Daigo himself was also walking up into that range where Itazan could do SPD. But instead, what Itazan was looking for was something like a button, jab, strong, whatever it may be, right? To try to get into V-trigger, into the spin. And Daigo was comfortable with that. He was okay with that mix-up, understanding that that's the mix-up. In this instance here, I think Daigo maybe expected, well, maybe Itazan now is going to go for ground SPD. He's done it only a couple times in this entire set. Maybe now's the time. And instead, that exact moment, nevertheless, was still crouching jab.
He just did this. He gave him the platter. He gave him the platter.
Man, that was so sick. What a walk down from Itazan.
All right, final game, final
So it's match
round.
point for
Again,
everybody. It's the
third
6th match point Daigo's
to
had.
go to the final game, final round, and almost all of them with this 0-2 comeback, I feel like.
I love it.
That roundhouse is something you don't see very often. He is looking specifically for counter hit against something like Boom.
How's it ready to go? Oh,
yeah.
Amazing
Here
reaction.
we go. Idabashi gets the mix up.
Tried it again.
Daigo's
I don't
out of
blame him.
there.
This is fine. Although Daigo
And that
jumped
dash,
back,
even though he got punished by Boom, you got to think
he has
Itazan's
no
okay with that. That means that he has the corner. That means he's got pressure.
Daigo's panicking.
on the way
Daigo's
down.
panicking.
Heavy punch.
He's
Finally, he
panicking.
has a situation with a significant
What
life lead
beautiful
and the
walk
corner.
forward on that one. Did he get
But
it?
not for
Oh
long.
yeah, he's gonna blow up the armor. That was so smart.
There you go.
He's gonna kill him.
There you go.
Eliminated Daigo Umehara.
Somehow Itazan, having been down at Daigo's match point 6 times, ends up doing it. Amazing, amazing match. I think there's so much to look for here in terms of where
All right, final
they're
game,
standing,
final round.
where their spacing is, in what kind of situations. Do they have the life lead? Do they need to make a comeback? You know, do they have resources for trigger or not? All that stuff has a big, big impact on what they're doing on the ground.
Anti-air. Yeah.
Where they are, right? This is something, look, incredible reactions by Itazan. He saw dash forward, grab. A lot of people's response would have been, what? Jab, stand short lariat, you know, whiff a grab because you think that you're in grab range. You know, maybe you're going for the tech there. Instead, his is EXSPD, which begins
Here we go. Idabashi
pressure.
gets the
He doesn't get
mix
much
up.
out of it, but the idea of that's so strong.
Daigo jumped back. Idabashi did not
And this, as I was saying, this dash here afterward,
Yeah,
Here
what
we
is
go.
that?
Here we go. Idabashi gets the mix
He
up.
tried it again. I don't blame him.
they absorb into dash, fine. Oh, you're gonna take that gray life plus a boom?
It's just fine.
No big deal,
Although Daigo
right? That means that Geef is at this great range where he can get the jump forward, or where maybe he could have absorbed again. But in either case, he's threatening Daigo now.
jumped back. Idabashi did not get a big punch.
Oh!
He has
Amazing
more
reactions
dynamite.
again.
Here comes another mix-up.
Daigo's
And in this
panicking.
corner.
Daigo's
This is terrible.
panicking.
On the way
Daigo's
down.
panicking.
Heavy punch.
He's
That was
panicking.
light SPD.
Okay, what a beautiful walk forward on that one. Did he get him? Oh yeah, he's gonna blow up the armor. That was so smart.
Wow. Fierce in that situation. Fierce after
Blow up the armor. That was so
after
smart.
throw tech. So the Fierce has armor on it versus, you know, kind of mid and higher level attacks. And it starts up fast, just a few frames that it starts up on. So it's not that Fierce itself hits super fast, but the armor is something you can use to get through stuff after a throw tech. But what actually happens here is that he just straight up hits first. Gets the easy hit confirm. In fact, even if he hadn't seen that and gone directly into trigger, on the crush counter, easy stand Fierce or stand roundhouse follow up for the trigger spin into kill as well. So amazing comeback by Itazan in a super close match, extremely tense. This was loser's side. This was eliminating for Daigo. And boy, again, I think there's so much to be seen in terms of where they're standing, what the mix-ups are. They both play it in a little bit of an unusual way, but I love it. There's a lot to be gleaned from this. If you go back again and you look at the first couple games, what's the difference between the first couple games and the last few games where Itazan wins? Well, the sort of general strategy isn't really what's changed. That hasn't really been the adaptation. These guys have played each other so many times. So it's not like somebody's going to come up with a brand new strategy per se. Instead, understanding what that strategy is, you have to have little variations inside it and know, okay, yes, my strategy larger is stand here when I have this life lead and these resources, stand here otherwise, right? This is kind of your positioning idea. But when it is to press a button, when you go for the grab, when you go for the forward fierce to knock somebody down who's jumping preemptively, like all the little mix-ups were working out for Daigo at the beginning, and the adaptation came from Itazan, not necessarily again in the strategy, but in the little interactions, in the little mix-ups. And that was Quite a performance from Itazan. The best grappler player, probably the best Street Fighter grappler player ever over the past 2 games, Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5. I'm sure he played Street Fighter back in the day, but if you don't know, his main game for a long time was Virtua Fighter, and he won Evo in that game, so I mean, he's extremely good. But yeah, hard to compete with him when it comes to overall grappler player, especially in the last dozen years. Probably just him right at the top. Still looking good. 39 years and 11 months old. Almost 40 years old. Still kicking. Still doing that stuff, right? Still reacting with EXSPD to dash up, grab attempt, to jump in attempt. Very hard to do, but he's right. All right, well, that's it for the match analysis up here in the press booth. Thanks a lot for watching my side of things. We can send it now down to the field where David is gonna wrap up the show. David? Thanks a lot, David. Appreciate that. Nice breakdown as always. A lot of fun to watch you geek out over the characters that you wish you were as good at using. I know that you're not, but you wish it, and it's a lot of fun to watch that. Thanks for all the information as well. Very cool. So the CPT has begun. This was the first week. Again, it was with Japan, which was a cool start. It was a good idea to start it out with Japan, which is still the strongest country in the world for Street Fighter V. It's still the best. And so to start out the CPT season with what a set of performances was a really, really good idea. It's a lot of fun to watch. But the CPT will continue throughout the year. In fact, I believe it ends in early 2022 that we're going to be playing through. So a lot of upcoming stuff. I think there's 4 Japan events. I just saw that signups are ready for North American event, and even in North America, there's 3 different ones. So they're doing West, Midwest, and East, right? They're splitting up a lot of regions even more than before, which is great because the netcode in this game is middling, we might say. Not the greatest. Really good idea on their parts. So thanks a lot to Capcom for having this done. Thanks a lot again to David up in the press box. Thanks a lot to the production. There was a flub at the beginning of this when the production forgot to unmute, but other than that, actually a pretty good day for the production folks up there. So thanks to everybody on the camera end of things as well. Thanks to you for watching. Enjoy your Monday.